Well, good evening, ladies and DeGents. This is the Distinguished DeGents podcast, the Week 5 recap. I'm just Steve today. There was no big bucks, unfortunately. First losing week for me.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, the winner side is Money Mansman.
No, not this week, sadly. No, it was a bad week for the DeGents, unfortunately.
Not good.
I at least got my survivor pick in and went 3-2 in the contest, but other than that, nothing to write home about.
Best bet: San Francisco -3.5. Hammered that. That actually salvaged a majority of my losses this week. Behind me, of course, I told you people, if we lose to the Jets and we lose to Nathaniel Hackett, just burn it down. So what the picture is it's not Invesco Field, but I forget what they call it now. Empower Field, whatever. Burn the Broncos stadium down too. We're just going to start over from scratch. Like, I hope it catches on fire again, truth be told. And Money Mansman, speaking of, unfortunately, we had the Big Bucks ride is over, down 5 units. So whenever the Distinguished DeGents lose, we have to drink shitty, cheap cinnamon whiskey, a.k.a. Catching Fire. So
Flanger to you. Yeah, I will post the video of me doing my blaze whenever I can get around to it later in the week. So I will also be catching fire. So
tastes like shame, regret, like piss.
I lost like
it doesn't taste like gold.
I lost so many bets by like half a point and a half, like a yard.
We're gonna have to get into that.
Fucking unbelievable.
We're definitely gonna get into that. My picks were just like literally. It was not as bad as last year's witching hour, where every bet was going my way, and then the witching hour hit, and I just got wrecked. This was like, you knew the games were going to flip, or you knew it could go the wrong way on one bad play, and just sure enough, it happened. It's not good. But the one positive I will take away, today is the official start for hockey season. NHL debuts today. Avs will retain. They will get their Stanley Cup back from Las Vegas, but in the meantime, we have a long season ahead. It's still football season, folks, so a lot to look forward to in that offseason, but we're going to focus back on week 5, see what lessons we can learn and take away. We went over the Chicago-Washington Thursday night football game. Monty Mansman, do you want to go over the stats first, or do we just want to hop right into your Buffalo Bills?
Yeah. We could go over the stats at the end for our best plays. Let's jump right into the Bills.
What happened? What happened to your Bills, dude? Bills lost 25-20.
Knew it was going to happen. I warned you. This was one of the worst spots of the year, and we're going to hopefully try and truncate this video. I know we went really long last week, but yeah, not much else to say. I said it was the worst spot in a long time. Bills coming off the Super Bowl. They literally had every injury that they could have on defense. Their offense came out like shit, and they still only lost by 5 points. So, I expected it to happen. It was what it was. We lose this week against the Giants. Oh, baby, you're going to see some real fucking fire from this side of the screen, let me tell you. But
one question I wanted to bring up, and I have a take on this, but just because it's your team, I want to give you the honors. The Bills' defense sustained a serious amount of injuries early in the game. Like, I literally was driving up to your house, and like I walk in, and you were just listing off player after player, out. Yeah. Now you lost Matt Milano for the year. I think you lost was it Juwan James? Who was it? You lost another. Daquan Jones. I was thinking Broncos. That's okay. Daquan, you lost him for the year as well. How bad are these injuries on defense gonna mean overall for this Buffalo Bills season? Matt Milano being the biggest loss since you lost take away Trey. That was another brutal loss.
I think we could survive if Rousseau comes back. Von Miller's into the fold now. still have I think our D line could be okay. I think we could survive. Um, Milano's a big loss. All pro player. I think the secondary, you see, I showed you today.
Yeah.
Josh Norman signed to the Bills practice squad. Are
Well,
you
and
fucking serious?
Was it Kai or Elam or who was it that had like the really bad matchup against Calvin Ridley, just getting burnt every play, and you were like screaming, "Put somebody else on him! He's just getting wrecked."
Yeah,
Not good.
Kyer Elam actually got benched in the fourth quarter for an undrafted rookie.
That's wild.
He was a first
That's not
round
what you
fucking
want.
pick, and he's benched. He sucks. He's a big miss for Brandon Bean. Big fucking miss.
Yeah, it sucks because he looked like he had so much potential for the Bills team that desperately needed the help. But yeah, when you're getting burnt, if you're signing Josh Norman, I mean that's the big concern I have.
The last time
this
I saw
Bills
him, he
defense
was
is
getting
wrecked.
stiff armed by Derrick Henry in prime time. Another fucking meme game. The Derrick Henry game.
Yeah, I mean Josh Norman might get stiff armed next week by Saquon if Saquon returns. I have some concerns I'll raise in the week 6 handicap video for this Buffalo Bills team. They're catching 14 at home, and the Giants do suck. But the question, I mean, Tyrod Taylor revenge game, could it happen?
Yeah, I hope Daniel Jones plays. I don't want to face Tyrod Taylor. No.
Oh man, that's unfortunate. Yeah, Bills unfortunately caught the loss. I don't even think they ever really had the lead in that game either, sadly. Speaking of not really having leads, dog of the week, the Houston Texans were my dog. When we handicapped it, they were 1.5. I think it got all the way up to 2. I heard 2.5 at some books. Depends on what number you got it at here, folks, on whether you cashed this or not. But Texans did not get the cover at 1.5. They did lose 19-17. Desmond Ridder wins at home yet again. One key note I will bring up, and honestly, and this is the question I'll pose. Kyle Pitts had himself a game for once. I think it was 8 catches, 70-something yards receiving. Clearly made a big difference on offense for this Atlanta Falcons. I think they technically have the lead right now in the NFC South, but do you think if they continue to actually utilize Kyle Pitts, is this Atlanta team going to be a contender in the NFC?
No. Nope. Atlanta sucks. Well, I'll let you finish your Atlanta point. To me, it's more of a Houston thing, even though I did actually get Houston 2.5. So I did cover with
Look
them.
at you.
I'll let you finish with your Atlanta point.
I mean, this Atlanta team just seems so up and down, but Desmond Ridder, I mean, for a quarterback who really, I really said, could not throw, 329 passing yards at home, 28 for 37, no interceptions. That was the big key. It literally just seems like Atlanta Falcons are just going to be a home. When they're at home, you probably have to play them because and next week you're getting them again, 2-point spread against Washington of all teams. It just seems like a crazy number, but this it's one of those things. If Desmond Ridder utilizes Kyle Pitts, they may have to be the team to get on the side.
Are they at home or on the road?
I think Atlanta's at home.
Oh Jesus! Okay. Oh boy. Could that be?
Yeah, Atlanta's catching. They're catching 2.5 at home against Washington.
Wow. Okay, if that's true,
no, I swear, I'm looking at it right now. They're catching 2.5 right now
so
on FanDuel.
2.5-point dog against Washington.
No. Atlanta's a favorite.
Oh, then they're laying. Catching means
sorry. Shit, you're right. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Still,
no, Atlanta's laying 2.5.
That still may be a big bet on Atlanta. No, to me, this was a Houston. I think now everyone can go and sort of relax. We saw what Houston is. Fun team, up and down team, figuring it out. That was not a great performance by them, any stretch of the word.
I will say in defense of CJ Stroud also didn't throw an interception. Atlanta's defense all year, I will say, they haven't really played a big contender, but their defense has actually been on the better side of the ball lately compared to some other teams. I'm not saying they're as good as New Orleans yet, but their defense, they did bolster it in the offseason.
Yeah,
I think it's starting to show.
It's a close game, but again, a lot of people really, got a little crazy with Houston, and I think you're seeing like Houston and Atlanta are the same team, up and down, going to have good weeks, going to have bad weeks, and going to be around 500.
I'm with you on that one. Again, I liked what I saw from CJ Stroud, and honestly, like Desmond Ridder, if they continue to use Kyle Pitts, I am of the belief that it could be the difference maker on whether they win or lose some games going down the schedule. Especially when they get on the road, they're going to have to deal with those struggles again. But yeah, I mean, my takeaway: Atlanta is a home team that just has to be the play. I think it's an auto play at this point. Like it has really, at least on the money line, if you're going to get it at like minus 120, minus 130, like hard not to play it.
Yeah, for real.
All right. Jumping ahead, we got the Carolina Panthers. They got 24 against the Lions, but I don't think it mattered. They got their asses kicked, 42-24 by the Detroit Lions.
Garbage points too, yeah.
Yeah. Monty Mansman, the question I posed to you today, was this game more about how good the Lions and Dan Campbell is as a head coach, or is this about how bad Frank Reich is doing a job in Carolina right now with rookie Bryce Young, number 1 overall?
Lions. This is the new Lions team. Remember, it sounded kind of ridiculous. How are the Lions laying 9.5 at home?
Well, we gave out the stats. They weren't that big of a favorite in forever.
Yeah, and they just, completely handled their business. No Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't matter. They put a whooping on Carolina. We knew Carolina was bad, or at least I knew Carolina was bad. This to me is that the Lions are a legitimate football team now. As a big favorite to handle their business the way they did, very impressive.
I'm in the middle. I find it hard to believe that we're going to sit here. And I don't know if it's because we like Dan Campbell and we like Detroit, or if this is just a matter of they beat up a bad team.
I was going to say,
they were a big favorite for a reason.
Bryce Young, what do you think about him early in the season?
I think he's in a bad system. Honest, I'm not and don't get me wrong. I know I was a big fan of him in the offseason. I like bits and pieces of what I see, but I just don't think that Frank Reich is the head coach, or nor do I think Bryce Young is the quarterback for him. I think Frank Reich plays an older type of offensive scheme that fits like an Andy Dalton, that fits like a Baker Mayfield, prime example. Bryce Young, you saw what he did in college, and you look at what he's doing in the NFL, and he just looks completely lost. And I think that just at the end of the day, that comes down to coaching. And I don't it's not like Bryce Young is throwing up like shitty numbers like Jamarcus Russell. I believe, Bryce Young is looking at the playbook, studying film. For God's sakes, we were making fun of Justin Fields for how bad he was as a quarterback. And I still would have said Bryce Young is not nearly as bad as Justin Fields right now. But Justin Fields lately is starting to cook, and I'm wondering if it's starting to click for him. So that's really, at this point, the hope I have for Bryce Young is that eventually, whatever system he's in, it starts clicking with him, and he can get it done. I do think that the Adam Thielen signing was still the better pickup out of everything they did. I think they're going to need to start heavily relying on him more. I think they need to get Hayden Hurst into the game scheme. I think they need to get him the ball more often. But more importantly, they don't have a rush offense right now, and I think that's something they need to address maybe later in the offseason. I think this season for the Panthers is a wash because we're week 5. I don't think they've won a game yet. So I think you count it as a wash, but I think you get Bryce Young the experience. You get him in, you try to get him used to it, and then maybe next year you keep on with the rebuild and see where they're going. I still like the direction they're at least going in, despite the losses. That's kind of my take.
Thielen's turning out to be a good pickup, so maybe soon. Maybe they get their first one soon.
Maybe. I don't know if it'll be next week, but it might be soon. All right, moving on. Tennessee at the fucking Indianapolis Colts. Tennessee this was the spot you bet them. They fucking let me down once more time. Further just proving the point that I, Big Bucks Beta, cannot fucking bet the Tennessee Titans.
Anthony Richardson for half the fucking game. They still, I hate this.
And Gardner Minshew still fucking gets the win. Unfucking believable. Yeah, so what the... I don't know what the hell is wrong with the Titans. They're just like, you want to talk about up and down and inconsistent. Look no further than this Titan. Literally the most average fucking defense you can get. The offense is just they've went from like 2019, 2020, one of the top tier offenses you looked at. They're just dreadful now. Derrick Henry, but I traded him in fantasy because I just got so tired of it. Didn't even really get great compensation, but I literally traded him for Gabe Davis in a draft pick in our Dynasty League, and Gabe Davis still outperformed him. Which it kind of goes to show you like where the Titans are heading. It's just they're literally looking like an average 500 team at best.
I mean,
and Daboll is not Daboll. Mike Vrabel as an underdog, no longer a thing. In my opinion, there's been too many games he's let us down.
Do you just bet him after losses? I mean, I'm wondering, like, maybe we're just a week off.
No,
and it's like this is the week to bet him.
No. I'm literally, I have to put him on auto fade because every time I do think we're on to him, and I think it is the spot, I fucking lose. Then again, the last 2 times I bet against Vrabel, they were after losses, and I lost money.
How'd that fucking work out for us?
That's the problem. I can't get ahead of this Titans team. I hate that. I think I literally my lesson learned. I lost more money. I bet the Titans as an underdog. I bet them at +1. It didn't matter. I lost both because I got cute. I got ahead of the public action. The minute the Titans became a public team and went from an underdog to a favorite, I should have been worried. I should have cashed out, but. Rookie move is a better, I didn't really follow the trend on that. So that was my overall takeaway. Mike Vrabel, I don't know why they're so inconsistent. I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins is still getting used to the team. Mansman, what the hell do you think is going on here?
I don't know. They're just the defense is
Actually, you know what? I deserve this. I deserve this. Here we go. That was for the Titans because I told myself, I told you, I will never bet the Titans again until I figure this team out. Did it again. Lesson learned.
Good for you, buddy. Good for you, man.
Okay.
Power
sometimes you got to do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Stupid. Yeah, I can't. I'll leave it with this. I can't figure out this Titans team either, man. I know my thing with the Titans is I was thinking to myself, okay, you've seen with Cleveland, if the team's going to get pressure, Tannehill will fold up like a cheap suit and they won't be able to do anything. But there was no reason why they shouldn't have beaten Indianapolis and they just didn't. I was just waiting for Tennessee to do something and you looked and Zach Moss ran for another touchdown. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, the Titans actually had one of the worst percentages in the red zone this year. And literally, I think if you look at this Titans team, that's the problem. Yeah, they used to be so good in the red zone. Derrick Henry used to be so reliable at this point, but now they just shut him down, and it's they don't know what to do.
Well, Derrick Henry's, I think, getting washed. I told you that.
I don't know. I wouldn't say washed, but he's getting older. He's clearly losing snaps.
And losing
it's more timeshare committee now. And I think I don't want to say give Derrick Henry back the ball because I think people were saying that about people like Le'Veon Bell, Christian McCaffrey. I think for a time was getting the same thing, but then he was getting banged up. So
yeah, I mean, giving him the ball so
yeah, I don't know. Maybe that California weed is making differences, but I'll leave that to the conspiracy theorists. Yeah, here's not a conspiracy. New York Giants, they still suck. They also got their asses kicked on Sunday. They lost 16-31. Daniel Jones out with a neck injury. Tyrod Taylor had to step in. And then people started wondering, was the O-line really that bad? My answer was yes. Because Tyrod also got sacked in that game.
God,
and he was scrambling for his life.
So bad, too. I mean, guys, if you watch the game, Miami's offense, like they threw a pick six. Oh, that was another bet I lost by half a point. Let's throw a pick six in the fucking end zone.
God.
It gets returned 102 yards for a touchdown, so I lose that. That was my week in a nutshell. 102-yard pick six against me. That was my
week. Miami first half. That was, and I literally said that too. I was like, I don't know if I want to take the spread, but Miami first half, that should be a lock. It's only 7.5.
I thought it was over. Miami in the red zone. They're going to get a field goal. No, 102-yard pick six. Well, there goes.
And you lose. Cover. Yeah, they come back, and then they come back and get the cover anyways. Like God, that was
Miami. Like the Giants just are. If the Bills can't lose to them next week, like there's no way.
Any given Sunday,
I think Bills are going to be everyone's survivor pick next week.
All right, this is a two-part question for you. Is Brian Daboll on the hot seat, and do you think Daniel Jones at this point should be benched for Tyrod?
No, because he made the playoffs last week.
You mean last year?
Or last year, excuse me. So no on Daboll. I think he's going to have at least one more year, if not two, because again, he made the playoffs. It's been a bad year, but Joe Shane isn't going anywhere. They were both Buffalo guys, so no, he's fine. Yeah, I think you have to seriously consider sitting Jones down. Number one, you have a convenient excuse. His neck hurts. He's going to have to rest for a couple weeks.
He's had neck injuries before in the past too.
Yeah, you give him a couple weeks to rest. And if Tyrod goes and look, the Bills, Brian Daboll was there, and the Bills did the same thing. Tyrod Taylor started. He provided competent sort of football. They gained respectability, and then they drafted Josh Allen the next year. I wonder if the Giants would consider sort of the same thing. You put Taylor in. If he fails for a couple weeks, Jones' neck gets better. You put him back in, see what he could do. And if not, if Taylor gives you respectability, you sort of ride the train with him, and then next year you sort of figure out what you're going to do with your quarterback. Because Jones has been a disaster.
My only concern is the Giants O-line.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think about the Giants O-line, though? Can anybody?
I don't think it matters who's at quarterback. Like, I think, and that's what I said about like Denver in the past. Like I'm not saying Paxton Lynch was great because he was clearly horrible. But we had guys like Trevor Siemian, who was serviceable. Case Keenum, even serviceable. Joe Flacco, career backup quarterback after he left the Baltimore Ravens. Had a resurgence with the Denver Broncos as a potential, where honest to God, I think there were periods like he could have actually like been a sustainable veteran starter, sort of like a Jake Plummer situation where, you know, his career would have been left to die if it wasn't for Denver. The O-line was so dreadful in Denver, and they were just getting penalties left and right, no discipline, that it not only cost us games, it would cost us quarterback plays. He would get sacked. And I think the Giants are in an eerily similar situation where just like their O-line is so bad. I saw Tyrod play in that fourth quarter, and he looked like he was lost too. He didn't look any different. And that's my concern. And I just think with Daniel Jones with the neck injury, I 100% think they should sit him for Tyrod, but not because I think Tyrod's any better. I think it's because like he needs the rest, because I think they need to get their shit together at O-line. And honestly, before this trade deadline hits, I think if you're talking to a team like Denver, if you're talking to a team like Carolina, I think you start trying to make a move and get somebody, because whoever you have right now is not fucking doing it.
I'll tell you this, early spoiler, I would seriously consider laying the 14.5 if Jones plays. Although if Jones plays, the line's probably going to go in favor of the Giants by a couple points. If Jones plays, I consider zinging it on the Bills, because an injured Daniel Jones,
It is prime time too. So I mean, it is prime time Daniel Jones. There you go. So Brian Daboll, I don't think he's on the hot seat yet, but I think it's New York. I think it's warming up.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the right move, but I think it's warming up.
Definitely eroding that goodwill from last year. That's for fucking sure.
Yeah, and speaking of hot seat, hot take for you. I think Harbaugh is going to be on the hot seat after this loss.
This is your catch fire, bro. This was terrible. This is the
okay,
one you deserve this shit.
In my defense, no, I'll introduce the game. I'll let you give me shit, and then we'll go from there. Baltimore, they lost to the Steelers 17-10, despite leading the game and covering the spread for over 45 minutes of football. Didn't seem to matter. The Steelers managed to get the comeback. I don't know if you saw the clip, but there was a clip of the offensive coordinator room at Pittsburgh when what was it? Kenny Pickett threw the one-on-one to George Pickens, and Canada's the only one just sitting there like staring in disbelief. I don't know if that guy
isn't working.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. That's the conspiracy theory going around. But either way, yeah, my Baltimore like -4.5. I'm so pissed off because for 45 minutes I was on the right side of this, and then they give up a bullshit safety, and then it's like 10-8 of all fucking like it's literally 10-8 fucking things.
Yeah.
Baltimore has had every opportunity to drive on offense, and they just can't get it done against the Steelers defense. And then this team just gets the comeback. It's unbelievable. That was like my luck where like, and look, sometimes you have to look like a donkey. And I thought this was the spot. Look, the Ravens normally don't cover there, but they were the road team. They were a road favorite, but I was like, look, it's 4.5. Steelers, I thought still sucked on offense. And I was just like, and the Ravens defense too. Like, I mean, they're putting up like decent numbers on defense, but I think this game was more about how Lamar Jackson did nothing and how they just signed a guy for $200 million that couldn't get the fucking job done for a 10-8.
Yeah, he actually had a lot of passing yards, but the turnovers were bad. I was going to ask you what the fuck were you thinking about this, but you gave it to me. Look, here's why you were on the wrong side of the game, despite what you said. This is what happens, Ravens-Steelers. Like, this is why I play the Steelers, because stupid shit like this happens all the time. Like, you're right. Pittsburgh had no business winning that game, but that's Pittsburgh-Baltimore. Bullshit safeties, weird fumbles, weird interceptions. Like, that's one of those games, one of those, like, teams that just, like, like Houston, the Houston pick earlier in the year. It doesn't make sense. There's no reason Houston should win the game, but they always seem to be
Jackson. You pick Houston.
Just, like, hold your fucking nose and go for it. And this shit's the same thing. Like,
Mansman, you stuck with the system play, and I commend you for that.
I fucking won this week. That like a goddamn fucking same game parlay. Flowers over, and then like Pittsburgh, and that was like my only hit of the week. So hallelujah.
See, it's funny. My Miami first half didn't hit because that was my pick for that. We did that together. I should have bet Detroit because I was on that side too the whole time, and I literally gave that handicap out. I was like, Detroit, this is a spot you take Detroit with the points because Carolina sucks. Did I do that? No. I decided to do Miami first half because I was more confident at the time.
Sorry, looking back, I let you down.
I should have known. I let myself down.
I should have known too that had like one interception all year is going to throw pick fucking 6.
Yeah, I will say last take with this Raven. Matt Canada needs to go. If you actually watch the replay of that play, Kenny Pickett audibled. It looked like they were going to go do a halfback draw, but then they saw the cover 0, and I think it was like Randy. And he hikes it back and throws the bomb to Pickens. I think that's why Canada had the reaction the way he did. That's the theory going around right now.
If I was Pickens, I hope it's true. We fucking play if I was him.
I mean, honestly, that's my takeaway. Matt Canada really is that bad. And honestly, I'm looking to fade Pittsburgh when they come off the bye.
He's the second worst coach in the NFL. We'll get to the worst.
Oh, yeah, we will. I would say it's Bill Belichick here, considering he got shut the fuck out against Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints. And I shit you not, folks. 34-0. Mac Jones benched 2 weeks in a row. Money Mansman, how are we not all over this game? I know this was a pick'em come the handicap. I said I slightly lean Saints just because Mac Jones literally has never beaten the NFC at home. I didn't expect this, though.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
I actually had, in one of my parlays that lost, I threw a little Saints action in that. But you're right. I should have been more on it. because
you know what? Hold on. I gotta double this because I didn't do that. I didn't do the half for Pittsburgh, but also remember when I handicapped this, I said whatever I'm gonna do in my teaser parlay, I'm just gonna take the dog at the time and just move it up 7 because there's no way. My dumbass had the Patriots at that point. Again, line movement, wrong direction of the handicap. I still bet the wrong side anyway, so let's just catch more fire, folks.
Oh my God, he's getting torched. Oh shit. Look at him signaling. Oh my God. Yeah, bro. Mac Jones is catching fire. He's done. He's done. I don't even blame Belichick per se. I mean, I guess you could blame him for drafting Jones to begin with. It's just a matter of Belichick, let's be honest, the past couple of years, he's kept it together with, silly string and, paper clips. And this year, it's just not happening.
I blame Belichick 100% for this. And clearly the answer to the age-old question was it Brady or Belichick. It's looking more and more like Brady. But I will say that in Belichick's defense, I don't think Belichick has the relationship with any other player like he did with Tom Brady. Like, I was listening to Julian Edelman yesterday on Colin Cowherd, and he was talking how, every Monday they would sit for 3 hours and discuss the defense for their team, to go over schemes, to go over the whole game plan. I don't think Mac Jones in his maturity levels with what I've seen on the field, I can't imagine he has that type of relationship with Belichick off the field.
Remember when they blamed Joe Judge and now their offense is even worse?
Well, it's not like Matt Patricia was doing them any favors, but yeah, somehow this has gotten worse. That was a bad futures handicap I had. I thought the Pats offense would be a little better, but they just regressed. It seems like every year the Patriots have regressed. Especially with it being under Belichick, and as long as he's been there, with the hires he's made, the draft picks he's made, that he's also whiffed on. This is the same guy who let Jacoby Myers go, who just went off for the Raiders on Monday night.
Yeah. And I think people forget that the AFC East, a lot like the NFC East last year, had a very easy schedule. And I think I think you're seeing a team like the Patriots getting exposed a little bit.
Yeah, and now the defensive injuries don't help them either, but there's no excuse you let Derek Carr get 3 touchdowns in this game. As bad as he's been all year. And I don't care. There's just no way. There's no excuse.
Told you Derek Carr was a good quarterback.
Okay. Let's calm down.
No.
Let's calm down a little bit. Actually, I looked up a thing. Derek Carr actually has really good numbers against the Patriots for some reason. He actually got 3 touchdowns the last time they played last year.
Saints on the road, too. You got to look Saints on the road. They're actually a pretty good road team, ATS.
Yeah, that is true. But no, this was just a Patriots no-show. Quite honestly, if you, again, Bill Belichick, look at our background screen, burn it down.
Yeah.
Just rebuild. Just burn it down or retire, because I don't think you're going anywhere this season. Mac Jones clearly is not your guy.
Yeah.
Your defense is in shambles.
You're the worst team in your division. Burn it down. Yeah.
Burn it down. Burn it down. But yeah, no, Steve, just take the dog at the time you fucking do your parlay. That's going to work. Yeah, good job, dipshit. Even though you lean New Orleans and didn't want to tease them. Way to fucking go. All right. Oh, that was my under of the week. Did hit that bet at least. So again. But yeah, no, I had to catch fire because it literally meant nothing when I put this team in a teaser parlay. Speaking of meaning nothing, apparently Joe Burrow's calf injury. Apparently that fucking means nothing in this game. Arizona, they hosted the Cincinnati Bengals. They lost 34-20. Burrow, Jamar Chase, 3 touchdowns. Still got an interception, 300 yards. Joshua Dobbs, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. James Conner went out of the game too. I think that had a major impact.
Big loss for them, yeah. Let me ask you. You're doing the questions. I'll ask you one. Cincinnati back this time? Is this for real? Are they back?
No, not yet. They're on the right path, but this game was. I think this was more of a come down to earth moment for the Arizona Cardinals. Me and you have been all over the Cardinals for the past few weeks. We said that they were a scrappy team. They cover spreads, except last week they almost covered to the Niners had Zach Ertz made that catch. So we were all over this team, and I think that the Bengals, with Joe Burrow getting some rest at least, I think we learned that this Cardinals team, they come back. They came back down to earth. We remembered who they were.
I just don't know how much. Well, the defense really, yeah. I mean, either way, I don't want to blame it too much on Connor because you're right. Like the defense really got shredded. I'm wondering though, like James Conner, that could be a massive loss for that. I'd be very careful betting Arizona without James Conner because he's been great.
Well, the crazy thing too is I think it was true. Arizona's still scrappy because they were only down by 4 by the end of the third quarter. It literally was just the fourth when it got out of hand. And I still like Arizona down the line, but the question is, are the Bengals back? I don't know. I lean towards no because I want to see what they do next week. I'm not saying they have to win like they did against Arizona. And looking at the Week 6 card early, I want to say they're playing. Here we go. They are playing.
Yeah, who do they got?
See, they're at home against Seattle. So I want to see I actually really want to see what he does against Joe Burrow or against Geno Smith.
Seattle off a bye. Ooh, that's an interesting.
Seattle off a bye on the road, non-conference spot.
That is going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to handicapping that.
Yeah, I want to see what he does at home because if it's like a LA Rams game, my answer is going to be no. He's not back. Yeah. But if this is going to be like another 3-touchdown performance, he puts up the numbers, win or lose, then I'll say Cincinnati's back. But Money Mansman, do you think this team is back?
Hard to tell because Arizona's defense isn't that good. So based on what Seattle did against the Giants, I'm wondering if they put that type of pressure on Burrow, is the offense still going to be back? I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I think the lesson for last week and really should have done better was there were some teams that got embarrassed, some teams that had some public outbursts like Jamar Chase, who ended up having a monster game. I'm always open. And then he has 3 touchdowns. Like there were a couple of outbursts that we really should have like been on the side of those teams that got embarrassed, and we really weren't, and we probably should.
No, we faded them, and we were on the wrong side of it. That's just what happens. But no, at home, Seattle off a bye. It's going to be an interesting spot. But again, I think the question of whether this team's back, it's just going to depend on how the offense really does. Cincinnati's defense, I still have problems with moving forward. So I'm going to be wary with the Cincy team going on. Not so much an injury, but that was my fade of the week. Unfortunately, your dog of the week, both losses, neither hit. My over of the week, Philadelphia Eagles 23, LA Rams 14. Over did not hit at 50.5. But the Eagles did win. The Eagles did cover. I handicapped this one bad. I took Sean McVay as a home dog. That clearly didn't matter. Eagles are not really winning in like the most spectacular fashion, but like they win and get the cover. Like I think this is like really weird but spectacular coaching where they're just focused on winning. They're not really focused on like not trying to lose like certain Raiders head coaches or Chargers head coaches. I really don't know if I have a question here. Sean McVay's not looking good. I know he was talking about leaving after last season. Do you think it was a mistake for him to come back this season? Do you think that the Rams are close to being in rebuild? What's your take?
I think he knew that the Rams were, I think the Sharps were right that the Rams weren't that good of a team. I think you're seeing it. They have their struggles. Eagles and Chiefs, it's crazy because they're looking very similar. They're both sort of they're really scary teams to me because they're just sort of hanging around, not playing good football, just keep winning. Like the Eagles, I've been looking to sort of fade them for a couple weeks now, and they just sort of keep winning. And now they play the Jets, and are probably going to win by 30 this week. But yeah, no, good on the Eagles. Their defense ended up showing up. They could run the ball. They could stop the run. They're just quietly. San Francisco looks like the best team in the NFL. I think the Eagles and Chiefs might be.
Yeah, sorry, I'm being bugged for dinner. I'll deal with that later. But anyways, Eagles team, it's one of those things where like maybe it doesn't matter how they do it, but what matters is that they do it. They win. They're 4-1 ATS. They had that weird Thursday night spot with Minnesota. For me, like, as long as the Eagles are playing like mediocre or bad teams, like I think they're just still proving they're the side to bet on. They're still proving that like whatever offensive scheme they have with the brotherly push or whatever the fuck they call it, they're the only ones that can do it perfectly. They're and literally until you learn to beat this team, like they're just going to keep doing it, and they're not going to change. So I'm with you. I'm looking forward to fading the Eagles down the line, but I don't see a spot yet. It's certainly not going to be next week against the Jets. Spoiler alert, folks. But yeah, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna actually I'll wait till we get to the Sunday night game. But big announcement after this. But we'll jump to the next 4:00 game. Kansas City went to Minnesota. They got the job done 27-20. Travis Kelce sustained an ankle injury, but it looks like he's very limited at practice. Kirk Cousins is now 1-4 this season after last season having a big start. My question here is Kirk Cousins the problem in Minnesota, or is it something else?
Well, man, I think part of it's maybe a regression of the. I think the turnovers have been very costly for Minnesota. I mean, this past week, like, this is what Kansas City does. We just talked about it with the Eagles. It's the same explanation. Kansas City goes, they don't look that impressive. They don't wow you off the screen. They just go on the road against a team who's desperate for a win, and they just win a game. They did it against the Jets. Even though, the desperate team looking for a win, Minnesota, desperate team looking for a win. And again, you look at the Chiefs, oh boy, the Chiefs haven't played good football and they're 4-1. Like, that's just sort of what the Chiefs do. So, I hate to drag Kirk Cousins. I mean, I think he's cost them games before. I think the turnovers are a massive problem. And now Justin Jefferson might be out. So that's a big loss for them. So,
Yeah, I think you're seeing a difference with this. I think two things are true, and this is getting ahead again, but the Chiefs' offense, I said this last week, I'll say it again, their offense has regressed without Eric Bieniemy at the coordinator position. I think this game just essentially proved that point. Kirk Cousins, no turnovers, though. And again, looking at this game, literally up until the third quarter, one-score game.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce got ahead. Fourth quarter, they started coming back. They just couldn't get the job done. And that is where certain coaching does come into play. And I think, again, if the Chiefs are going to win ugly, close games, still manage to get a cover, then they're still going to be bettable. They're still going to be favorites. And it's just going to be a matter of when do you actually fade this team. But my takeaway here, it was, I don't think Kirk Cousins is necessarily the problem, but I don't really know where else to point the finger. And I think that's the problem a lot of the sports media and a lot of other people are having.
Defense that's not that good. Like, I think their offense is fine. Well, the turnovers in past games have killed them, but their defense isn't that great. They're not a top defense. I mean, I don't know. They're just playing harder competition, and they lost some winnable games. I mean, Tampa week 1, you have to win that game.
Tampa, you have to win. The Eagles, you lost. Week 3, I think that was another winnable game you could have had but didn't. Week 4 was the Panthers. Week 5 was the Chiefs. The Chiefs, and honestly, the sad thing too is you look at that game. I think the Vikings could have. They had an opportunity to come back in that game. I mean, Madison scored an early touchdown in the 4th to make it a 7-point game. Mahomes and company did nothing after that either. So there was just like prime ample opportunities for the Chiefs to lose, and they just couldn't do it. I think speaking of Kirk Cousins, I think you're starting to learn that like when franchises like Minnesota pay for like veteran presence, it only gets you so far. I think Kirk Cousins, unfortunately, is only going to get you so far. Even with the Justin Jefferson, I know you lost Dalvin Cook, so you have Alexander Madison, but I think even when you had Dalvin, you, me, and everyone else and their mother, nobody picked the Vikings to win the Super Bowl. It's just, you're only going to go so far with the Kirk Cousins, and I think you're just seeing the worst of it.
Yeah, and we're going to see what Kirk Cousins is without JJ, that's for sure. If JJ's out, we're going to see the real Kirk Cousins.
Hope you have Jordan Addison on your team, folks, because it looks like he's going to be looking some targets. Yeah. All right, finally, last 4 o'clock game. The goddamn Jets fucking did it.
Is Sean Payton a one and done?
No. Russ Wilson. I'm not going to give like a sports gambling handicap recap here. This is like a pure Broncos fan rant. I'm going to save like the handicapping for the Thursday night game when we get to that later, folks. No. So to answer your question, no, Sean Payton, he will not be a one and done. Reason being, it's his year 1. We literally traded a first round pick, and we signed this guy to turn this team around. This was, if you're an owner, this was a realistic possibility, especially if you thought Russell Wilson was not the answer. Now to go 2-pronged on this, I know there are certain sports media outlets, fucking Greeny from New York on ESPN, saying that this was the worst he's ever seen Russell Wilson. Clearly, he never watched a Broncos game last year, because I think it's literally like night and day with Russell Wilson from last year to this year. Russell Wilson has actually been the only reason this Broncos team is alive. That's my fucking hot take, crazy take. Russell Wilson is actually like the bright side. Now, mind you, he had 2 fumbles in this game, and it was very costly. Fucking, we had a safety too that didn't fucking help either. So I think it was just an unfortunate circumstance. But I think you have to remember too, the Jets defense is like highly touted. They have a nice squad going in. So, and I think we knew that going into this game, that it wasn't just going to be a fucking like 50 to fucking 20 slugfest. Like this game was going to be close, and I even said that. Like,
so you're justifying losses to the Jets at home. That's what.
No, I'm not.
That's your explanation.
No, our defense is like fucking piss poor. Like I'm done. I don't know how much more angry I can get. Like this was I'm so pissed off because this was such a winnable game on defense. We gave up 1 touchdown on defense that entire game. 1. Wasn't even to Zach Wilson. It was to Breece Hall on a 70+ yard run.
Yeah, that was
which look, shit happens. That could be forgivable, but it was just like every drive, soft ass cover 2 zone, cover 3 zone bullshit. You let them drive. Greg Zuerlein, I think, had like 5 fucking field goals.
Yeah.
Fucking absurd. You let them get in there, but you don't, like, I get it. You don't let them score touchdowns. I wonder what the fuck you're going to do against Patrick Mahomes when he gets when he gets near that. You think he's going to settle for field goals? Andy Reid might, and that could be the difference on the cover, but not to get too far ahead. I'm pissed off at the defense. I'm more pissed. Like, literally the fact that you're saying not only this was the worst that Russ looked for 2 fumbles. Number 1, you clearly never watched a Broncos game last year. Number 2, he still scored 2 touchdowns for you on offense. He still made this a 1-score game. And the fact that New York is celebrating this like it was Nathaniel Hackett's goddamn Super Bowl royally pisses me the fuck off. Like, Nathaniel Hackett was the biggest fucking bum in Denver's history. He was so bad, he got fired before Josh McDaniels ever fucking did. literally gets demoted to a coordinator at the Jets. What the? And another
Only
thing
because
too.
Rodgers won it. I'm like, let's be real.
But even then, what the fuck are the Jets celebrating about? They did nothing on offense. Zach Wilson, they literally are celebrating like they won the Super Bowl and that they like royally beat our asses.
No,
Zach Wilson didn't do shit.
If I was a fan, I would say at the end of the day, the Jets won. Their season's alive. They did what they had to do.
The Jets defense won. The Jets defense won. That's what happened.
Well, their offense did like this is how you expected the Jets to win games. Stifling defense, their offense makes just enough plays to win the game. That's what you were.
Yeah, Breece Hall, 177 yards. That's how you win games.
Well, they're not going to do that against the Eagles' #1 rush defense. That tells you where my handicap's going for next week.
This is what, like, literally, they made this game about Nathaniel Hackett, but Nathaniel Hackett didn't fucking do anything different to win this game.
No.
Denver's defense was just so, that's how bad Denver's defense is. That's the takeaway.
There's a trend with Denver that I'm going to look to exploit. You guys are the worst second half team in football. You guys are garbage in the second half. You do
it's horrible
in the second half. So I'm going to look to exploit that in the future.
I hope you profit.
And not this week because Kansas City is not that good in the second half either. But later on in the year against better second half teams, I'm going to be looking to exploit that.
By the way, Jets were the first. Actually saw this the other day. Jets and the Vikings worst first quarter team, 0-5.
Yeah. Jets are bad like the Giants bad in the first half.
I don't get it. Like, this was what pisses me off. This was such a winnable game. It really was. The safety killed us. The 2 fumbles killed us.
Yeah.
Literally, Zach Wilson still throws a pick. We still can't get. We literally couldn't do shit. It was fucking another unbelievable new worst game ever. Like, shout out to That Good Sports on YouTube. But anyways, I'm done. Like, fuck Nathaniel Hackett. He's still a bum. I hate that they made the game about him. He didn't do shit.
That's why I should have bet the Jets. I should have had the balls to bet the Jets because I knew they were gonna come out for Hackett and motivate themselves or whatever.
Well, I even said, like, in my handicap, I even said I'm not taking the Broncos -2. Why would you ever take the Broncos as a favorite? Like, they don't cover.
Yeah, I should have bet the Jets. Well.
Yeah, no, but fuck Nathaniel Hackett. That's my take. Fuck the gambling. Fuck that. Just fuck him.
Yeah.
He continues to cause issues in Denver. He still pisses us off to this day, even as a Jet.
Okay.
And now they're making this too. Like, I hate that the media is making this like, oh, Sean Payton, he's worse than Nathaniel Hackett right now. I'm like, really? One of them is going to go in the Hall of Fame. The other one is going to be forgotten in 10 years.
I'm sorry, you have to look at why Sean Payton's team is basically dog shit in the second half. Like, you have to start questioning what the fuck that's about. They're terrible in the second half. They do nothing in the second half. Their offense,
Vance Joseph has to go.
They just collapse. But even their offense in the second half collapses. I don't get it. I don't know. Not good.
I don't either. I don't know. But let's just move on. We'll go to my best bet, the San Francisco 49ers. As depressed and like defeated as I was, at least this team salvaged some money for me. 6-unit win, 3-unit profit out of this one. They not only got the win, they clearly got the cover. 40-10. Dak threw 3 interceptions in this game, primetime game on the road. And this was the spot. I tried to say that Cowboys fans literally came off a big blowout win against the shitty Pats team. They're catching a low number against who I think is the #1 team in the NFL right now. This was a ridiculous number. San Fran was clearly the play. Never a question as far as I'm concerned. But and now I know a lot of the sports people are talking about how bad Dallas is, but like I wanted to pose the San Francisco question. So what I have for you is, like, what does it tell you about the Niners with this?
Come on.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Just fiddling with my camera and it messed up. Niners are on pace to potentially be one of the best teams in NFL history. It's it. I mean, you look at what they're doing, and they look unstoppable. And, there's always a question, will a team sort of fade later in the year? But, I mean, if they keep this up, I mean, they're going to be the odds-on Super Bowl favorite. And I don't know if there's anyone even sort of – like the Eagles are sort of second, I would say. I don't think any team in the AFC is even close. Like,
no.
I think you could say legitimately, besides just the best team in football, I mean, this Niners team's on pace to be one of like the best teams ever. I think. I mean, they got a chance to go undefeated.
Yeah.
I 100% believe that. Defense, offense, they're good.
Yeah. So by the way, I did a look ahead spot, and this was going to be my major announcement. Look ahead spot, the Niners, and I texted this to you. I hope you hit this with me. If not, we'll have a fight about it later. But the Niners were only laying 4.5 points on the road against Cleveland next week off the bye. Now they're catching 5.5.
That's still too low.
If you guys do not smash this number into oblivion and make this a stupid, now, honestly, again, this might be the ladder bet. Like, I'll declare it now. This is the ladder bet. You just go as high as you can, because besides the Browns defense, like, what do they have? And by the way, this Browns team who has played their division, which is Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cincy, who they caught on week 1 with a Joe Burrow injury in the rain. And I want to say they caught Houston, but I'm going to double check that number. My point is, this Browns team has not played a fucking good team all year, and they're only taking 5.5 against who we think is the number 1 team. Oh, it was not the Texans, it was the Titans. But yeah, I already laid 5 fucking units.
Jesus Christ.
When it was 4.5. Because I saw this look ahead number and I said, you know what? This number is wrong. This is ridiculous. And I literally did the research already to handicap this game. I don't get it. I don't get the number. Maybe we'll find something later in the week. Maybe somebody's injured, but I smash that number now. That's how good I think this Niners team is. I'm telling you right now, before we even give our week 6 handicap, just go ahead and bet the Niners to cover already, because, literally, like, who the fuck is going to stop them? Cleveland? No. So, yeah, last point with that. Well, in the Niners-Dallas game, Dak Prescott, I think, is not the answer. And again, kind of like the Kirk Cousins situation, I think Dak's only going to take you so far. And this Dallas team, they're starting to remind me of like the 2020 Bills, I think it was. You beat the shit out of bad teams. Anytime a game is close, you lose. Anytime you face a good team, you get your ass kicked. Dallas is like that over 10.5 bet is starting to scare me if I was a Dallas fan. But I'll leave it at that. Money Management, any final comments on either the Cowboys or the Niners moving forward?
No.
Okay. Finally, we got the Monday night game. It was the Green Bay Packers. They went to Las Vegas. They were 1-point dogs. I gave out a handicap saying why you should bet the Raiders, but I was so pissed off at the fucking, the dipshit Davises. I was pissed off at the Raiders. I said, fuck it, bet the Packers anyways, because fuck the Raiders. Fuck Coach McDaniels. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. They still looked like dog shit on Monday Night Football. Didn't do a fucking thing on offense. And Jordan Love literally gave him the game. 3 interceptions as well. Money Management, that literally was the end of my week. Like, I had 2 bets, which was the first Red Zone special, and then I had a same game parlay, which I did post on our Twitter at DeGents Podcast, folks, on Twitter, but it didn't fucking hit. I don't know if I should still be down on this Raiders team. I'm down on the Packers for sure.
Yeah, but Jordan Love.
What's with the collapse? This is like a 3-week collapse we've
We're
seen.
now learning that he's no fucking good. That's what we're learning. The early season was a mirage. He is proving to be no good. No offense, you throw 3 picks against the Niners, that's excusable. You throw 3 picks against the Raiders. I mean, no offense, that defense is not good. 13 points against that Raiders defense is inexcusable. They should be embarrassed. No excuse. They were coming off the bye too, weren't they? Coming off the bye. No? Oh, they have a bye this week?
No.
Fucking hell. I must have been thinking of someone else then. Okay.
The Raiders, I'll look that up while you continue, but the Raiders played somebody. I know they played somebody.
Well, it was an embarrassing performance from Jordan Love. That's my
they played the Chargers. That's what happened. Jimmy G was hurt, so their backup played the Chargers in LA, and they still pushed the cover at 7.
God, their offense, I mean, like the Raiders' offense is just non-existent. It's no good. Josh Jacobs, they don't block for him anymore. And yeah,
Jimmy G. I think we learned a lot about Jimmy G this game. Jimmy G also sucks. He's got no rapport with Devontae Adams. If Peyton Manning is yelling at you on TV, like, I don't care if he's double covered, you throw to him anyways, like, and then you don't. And he only gets like 4 targets, but you go to Jacoby Myers. And now, mind you, like, I know the Packers kind of have a like mid-range defense, but the fact that Jacoby Myers got the majority of the targets and the score, it makes you wonder, like, if Devontae Adams should have left Vegas earlier this year. But maybe it was just one bad game. Maybe they rebuild it next week. But I'm down on both teams after that game. That was
ugly. That was ugly. Agree.
Just another ugly Monday night game. Nobody really wanted to see it anyways, except for fans of those teams. And then, just another disappointing performance by Jordan Love, but just as equal for Garoppolo, if you ask me. But I think we're starting to learn about these teams moving forward. And I just learned both these teams suck. That's where I'm at.
All right, let's real quick get to another disappointing Thursday night game.
Well, we got to get through our numbers first for week 5. So I'll kick it off in spectacular fashion. So week 5, now mind you folks, we skipped the week 4 numbers because we were on our bachelor weekend, but we did count our best picks. So for 4 of the 5 weeks in the NFL season, I have gone 33, 28, and 1 ATS, 35 and 29 on the money line, 30, 31 and 1 on the over-unders. Best bet and under picks of the week, I'm 4 and 1. Dog of the week, fade of the week, and over picks, I am 2 and 3 on those best bets. And Monty Manson, we are waiting.
Okay. So for my week, I went 500 ATS. I think I like 7-6 and 1. The one push being we handicapped the Atlanta Houston game at 2. So it was about 500 ATS. Unfortunately, did well 1 o'clock and then 4 o'clock. Kind of the late games fuck the shit out of me. My best plays, I don't think. Oh, hold on 1 second. What was my final number? I didn't get my over under of the week. Sadly, Miami Giants came a little bit short. My dog of the week failed. I did get my best bet. So that was good.
Gotcha. Yeah. And for the week for me, I 7 and 7 ATS, 6 and 8 money line, 7-7 over under. Yeah. So could have been a lot. Like it was one of those weeks. Could have been a lot worse, but just nothing was hitting.
Oh, reminder: my best bet was the Chiefs, and they did come in. So
there you go. All right, guys, let's jump into this. We got Thursday night football. Denver Broncos are traveling to the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 10.5 point road dogs, plus 430 on the money line. Over under has dropped to 47.5. This number, I believe, originally started at 49. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Early line was 49. It's dropped 1.5 already.
Kelsey
Yeah.
playing maybe.
Well, he was injured, so maybe he'll be limited in the game. Maybe he'll be on a pitch count. Okay, do I have to kick this off or do you want to?
Your team, why don't you take it?
God damn it. All right. So I gave out the rage in the recap, so I'll do my best not to repeat all that. This is a game for a Thursday night. I think kind of like the Monday game, this is going to be the game we learn a lot about how bad each team truly might be. I do mean the Chiefs could be bad. And I actually do believe they are on a downspin. They only had 2 home games this season, and this is their second Thursday night matchup where, if you remember, they lost to the Lions, and they're 1-1 straight up in ATS at home. That one win was against Chicago. Now, we could do the litmus test of saying, okay, well, both teams have played Chicago. Let's see how they did. And you see Kansas City beat the shit out of Chicago. Denver literally had to come back and struggled. The difference is, I think there's a huge difference between catching the Bears at home after a really bad loss versus going into Kansas City as bad as you are as the Chicago Bears. Instead, I'm going to go with this route. If you're one of these social media dickheads who think Russell Wilson is a horrible quarterback this year, like Mike Greeny, you fucking asshole, you have to admit, too, that Patrick Mahomes also kind of looks like a shell of his former self, and he also looks like dog shit, because when you do a side-by-side comparison, these quarterbacks are, like, very, very, very close to even. Yeah. Slight edge, honestly, towards Russ.
Oh, yeah.
Russ...
One team's winning, the other one's 1-4.
I'm working on it, okay? I'm working on it.
Okay.
No, Russ, 11 touchdowns, 2 picks, 1,210 yards, 66.9 completion percentage, 3 fumbles. Mahomes, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,289 yards, 66.8 completion percentage, 1 fumble. The 2 key differences, there's one that's very obvious, like you mentioned. One is not so obvious. Number one, it's the fact that Denver is losing, and they're losing because of this piss-poor defense. They're literally on pace to give up the most points in an NFL season. 32nd in scoring. They're averaging 36.2. The Chiefs defense, ever since they got Chris Jones back, really good on defense. 5th in scoring defense. They've allowed an average of 16 a contest. Chiefs are ranked 9th in the NFL in third down efficiency, allowed 35.4%. Red zone percentage allowed, they're 8th, 46.7. Another key difference, though, both teams' O-lines. Russ has been sacked 15 times this season compared to Patrick Mahomes, 4. And if you want to go another weird route, Broncos, 9 penalties on their O-line this season. Kansas City, 15. One guy on their O-line, Jawan Taylor, 9 penalties alone just on him. So, again, 2 ways you really want to go about this. Do you think this is a repeat of the Chicago game? Or is Russell Wilson in this offense going to keep them alive? And besides Kansas City's 1 win against Chicago, where it was 40-10, all their other games have gone under this number. And honestly, I would argue, like, they had no business playing this close, but they just have. They should have beat the Jets hand over fist, but didn't. They should have beat the fucking Vikings hand over fist. They didn't. And I just think that this is the new coaching style of the Chiefs, and I think that the Broncos, whether they're playing from behind or whether they're going to step up. Like, I think if there is a game this defense does step up and it's not the Jets, it's going to be here on Thursday night. Like, this is the game they might wake up for. So, 4 of the 5 games from the Broncos, too, they looked horrible, but they also covered this number. Chiefs, 4 of the last 5 were settled by 8 points or less. And road teams are not only favorable in divisional matchups this season, where they're 15-10 straight up, 15-8-2 ATS. Road underdogs in divisional matchups, 9-3-1 ATS this season. And on Thursday Night Football, we're the road team again. 4-1 ATS, 3-2 straight up. Hard not to take the 10.5 here from Denver. I'm not going to take them on the money line because, again, I think we all know they haven't beaten the Chiefs since Peyton Manning was in town. But I really, like, the more I think about this game, I think this is going to be a lot closer than people think. I think everybody is down on Denver because of the Nathaniel Hackett Bowl. I think people are overlooking the Vikings win, and they're not realizing how bad Travis Kelce being limited might be. But Andy Reid, I mean, he's clearly the superior coach, but this offense for the Chiefs, too, has been not as dreadful as Denver's defense, but not what we're used to. So I'll take the points with Denver, but if I had to make a pick, not going to bet this game because it's going to be bad enough that I have to watch it. But
yeah, not on your life would I take Denver in this game. Kansas City, I mean, you already talked about it, like 12 straight wins against Denver.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the games were close. That was when Vic Fangio was the defensive coordinator. This Denver defense is non-existent.
4 of the last 5, I think it's 4 of the last 5 were settled by 7 or less.
Yeah, but again, Vic Fangio's not the defensive coordinator anymore. I think this is going to be another Bears. I could see Kansas City winning by 30.
I can't fault you. I wish I could, but I can't.
I'm not in a big rush to bet it because Thursday night, like I've seen too many times where the Chiefs go and Patrick Mahomes slides with the Chiefs up 9 to like not get the cover. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if I'm rushing to play the number at 10.5. I'd actually lean. Well, really, I really like the over a lot more. Like Denver's just a deadbolt over team. If anything, maybe even Kansas City over, depending on what that number is. Although that's probably going to be really high.
Yeah. By the way, Chiefs have failed to cover 2 in a row on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that, though. They're at home. Denver's terrible. I think they're done. They have no defense.
2 in a row at home, by the way.
Yeah, but they didn't cover to Detroit. Detroit's a legitimate football team.
They lost it. Well, okay, that's fair.
Denver sucks. Denver is terrible. They lost by 10 to the Jets at home. I mean, it's just, again, like to me, again, I could be wrong.
Yeah, but
there's no point. This is like if you play Denver plus 10.5, it's just why. Like, why? I'm not
because
the
Chiefs don't. It's the Chiefs and they don't cover. It's the Chiefs and they don't cover.
Of all the games on this card, you're going to play Denver 10.5. Is that smart? No.
Well, look, Denver plus 6.5 is probably not smart, but you're getting 10.5. Look at the Chiefs games already. They haven't covered this number besides the Bears.
The problem is Denver's defense is worse than the Bears. They're 32nd in scoring.
Are you sure? I mean,
They're worse.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah,
they're worse. That's the problem. Look. And think about it too. Thursday night road team. If Denver gets off to a slow start, in the second half, they're not going to do anything because they never do anything in the second half.
But can't you see this being like a 17-point game and then Denver comes in with the backdoor cover?
No,
and make it a 10.
That's a good idea. No. Because Denver never does anything in the second half. They're the worst second half team. If anything, I might say, you want to be cheeky? Denver first half? Maybe you could get a 7.5. I could see that. This second half,
I'll look that up. But continue.
Maybe I'll bet Chiefs second half.
Do you really want to bet the Chiefs at 10.5 as an 84% betting favorite on the money?
See, that's if it was less
on Thursday night,
less than 10, maybe on Thursday night too. Like to me though, I feel like this is one of those games I'm not gonna play, especially like you made legitimate points.
Oh, I don't like that number. Broncos are 6.5 point spread in the first half. See, I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that number.
What's the second half? 5.5.
Probably more, but let's see. Now again, guys, these are FanDuel odds, so
yeah, let's
keep that in mind.
Right there.
5.5.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, just like again, normally I would think, right? Like Kansas City always sort of, and that's the one thing that like I really want to bet this, like hammer the Chiefs. I don't know if I'm going to, because you did make rational points. To me, it seems too easy. This Denver team, I just think is DOA. They're terrible. I mean, I watched last week. They are horrible.
Yeah.
And it's just like
it sucks.
If the Chiefs are winning 14, let's even say it 17-7 in the first half. Like you're not even worried about a backdoor cover because this Broncos team literally has been the worst second half team in football, except for the Bears game. And Kansas City has a defense this year, so I don't even know how good Denver's offense is going to do. Like, and I have no faith in Denver's defense. Like, there's nowhere to me where Denver wins this game. I think Kansas City's defense is good.
I don't think Denver wins this game. But, like, I've seen enough Broncos and Chiefs game, admittedly, with Fangio.
Well, yeah.
But I've also seen enough from the Chiefs this year and the Broncos this year. These teams, for whatever reason, just play close, except for that one outlier.
But there's not even
the question is this another outlier game? If you think this is an outlier game where the Chiefs are just going to blow it the fuck up, go hammer the Chiefs. You probably should if you're this strong on it. I'm not trying to, like, don't get me wrong. If I had to play a side, I think numbers-wise, looking at how these teams have played, the Chiefs' offense has not been the same, and that's why I say you should probably take the 10.5.
So here we go.
But if you're on the side of that the Broncos defense is worse than what the Chiefs' offense has done, then go hammer the 10.5 before it goes up to 12.5 by game time.
Last year, whose defense was better, Denver's or Kansas City's? Last year, come on.
I will say Denver for the sake of this argument. The sake of this argument.
No, it's 100% true. This year, it's not even close. And I think offensively, Chiefs are better.
But also Russell Wilson, this year or last year, which one would you take?
This year. Would I take Mahomes or Wilson this year? Mahomes.
Would you take Mahomes last year or Mahomes this year? Because I would take Mahomes last year, but
yeah.
That's my point. Like, I'm concerned that this Kansas City offense, especially after what I saw them do against the Jets, and the fact that, like, what they did against the Vikings was, like, the most mediocre performance ever, and that Kirk Cousins just couldn't go get the job done like he did last year. That's my point. Like, I think at some point it's going to catch up, and I think 10.5 for a team that only covered that once against arguably the worst team in the NFL right now, except, Bears right now look better than Denver optics wise. Like, I think it's like a pros Joe situation where, like, I think a lot of the people who love Kansas City, like the public favorite at home, especially for a Thursday night game, they're going to go hammer the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I hope this number goes higher, truth be told. Like, the 10.5, that was the look at spot. It didn't move much. So kind of tells me that they were already ahead of this. Also, too, you're getting Travis Kelce on a limited situation. If Kelce was healthy, I'd be more cautious, but
yeah, God, Pacheco could have like 150 yards rushing this game. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
we'll see. Like, let's
see. Pacheco over 77.5 if you want to play it.
Oh boy, could be, especially if Kelsey's out.
There you go. All right, yeah, we'll leave it at that, folks. I think we've yelled enough, but money management. Any final thoughts before we move into Thursday? Any prop plays you want to throw out there?
No, not right now. I think you look Chiefs over props. Really sort of over yardage. Obviously, you got to do your homework. See, you got to make sure, especially Thursday night, lines are going to tend to be higher. But I'd be looking, especially the rushing props, because I could see Pacheco feasting. So
I'm actually looking at a Broncos total right now, and I'm actually looking at total touchdowns on the Broncos. over 2.5 plus 190 because this Chiefs defense, I think, are due for a letdown spot. And I think this could be it with Russell Wilson, especially with Russell Wilson on Thursdays. I'll pull that real quick, but Russell Wilson tends to actually I know I mentioned this last year with the Niners game and he literally did diddly squat, but Russell Wilson tends to have a good record on Thursday night.
I do not endorse this. Wholeheartedly do not endorse.
7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
I think you could get 2. I don't think you're getting 3. Don't endorse. I don't endorse.
Not my best prop play. Broncos total points is over under 17.5. I could see the over hitting.
I like that a little more than the touchdown ones, to tell you the truth.
I think if it'll be closer than we want, I could see 3. But that's my crazy play. All right, folks. Well, I'm Steve Big Bucks Beta.
Money Man.
Jason Money Mansman. Okay. Hopefully week 6 we make some motherfucking money. Yeah. We didn't do it this week, but
unlike us last week, make that motherfucking money.
Yes, sir. Signing off. Have a good night, DeGents.
Good night, DeGents.